Welcome back to Hoochos. Today on Hoochos, we'll be unboxing, reviewing, and part testing this. This is the SpiderFarmer SE3000 Full Spectrum LED grow light. Let's get to unboxing. Okay, so straight up, discreet packaging, and because of the form factor of the packaging, it doesn't even look like a grow light. So, win-win. So it looks like there's going to be some assembly for this light. We have user manual, the light itself, really nicely packed. I can't see any problem with this getting damaged in transport. Got the driver and assembly, power cord, hanging ratchets, and daisy chain cord. Some clips that look like they go into assembly. That's what's in the box. So let's get to assembling and we'll see how hard it is. I don't think this is going to be too hard at all. We've also got some screws and hangers to assemble. Oh, that's pretty cool. So you can slide these. Oh, yep, okay. So these individual pieces slide depending on where you want the lights positioned, and you can have a smaller or larger footprint because of that. I really like that. I really like that. And if you actually have a look, the LEDs themselves, they're actually spaced. So there's a high concentration on the outside and less in the center, so that you don't get that par spike in the middle, and it gives good coverage on the extremes of whatever area you're trying to cover. Now I'm gonna set this up so that it's exactly on the arrows. We'll do a par map from that just so that I'm getting, you know, a consistent reading, but you can have these spaced however you like. Really nice design. Now you can see within the sliding mechanism, this is where you attach the lights, and that slides backwards and forth, but there's two other little things in there, and I've got to figure out what they're for. Anyway, we'll attach this up. I'll put this one on backwards. Just because this is a review, and I think this is a quality control thing. I've got this light set up. All of the ends are tight, but I actually cannot do this last one up because it's shorter than all the rest. This isn't catastrophic because I think I can get it to work. The way that I can fix this is by undoing the screws on these two and sliding these two brackets back slightly so that this part of the light actually meets up with this shorter light. Because it's so modular, I can fix that, but it really shouldn't be that way. Fortunately, these screws just tap straight into the aluminium. You can move them along like that. So I'll undo this one as well. With these two undone, we'll work with it. SpiderFarmer might even be able to use this as a troubleshooting video. So that should just fit perfectly now. Look at that. And all these will just plug into here. Those inside things are the hang points. So these hangers fit into those sliding washers, and you've got a hang point here, so it's actually got a little indication point of where your hang point is. It anchors the hang point in place, and they have given you washers to use, so put the washers on first, unlike me. Okay, so one of the things that I really do like about this light is the fact that the driver is able to be run away from the light. So they've given us a ton of cord to work with, and this can be housed outside of the grow environment. And that is fantastic. That is what all lights should have the option to do. I'm actually going to mount it onto the light so that we can get an idea of what the light looks like, and we can also test the setup in the orientation with which it was meant and which most people will likely use. Now, a really neat feature of the way that this light is designed, and I'm Giving it like a 10 for design, it will probably annoy a lot of people because of the amount of setup that you have to do. But the payoff is that the light is able to be adapted to a ton of different situations. With these clips here, these are the driver mounts, and you can see on them the different measurements because it allows you to set up the driver, but it accounts for the fact that you may move these internal lights in and out depending on your plant situation and the setup. These just slide onto the base of the driver like so, and then you just screw them in with these dual purpose screw mount fixings and feet. If you have a look at these, they hold these mounts in place, but they also double as really nice feet, which the driver can just sit on the ground if that's the way that you want to run this light. And that's pretty cool. We'll attach this driver to all of its mounting clips, and that should just, and that is really sturdy actually. Then we can just go ahead and connect up our power, and looks like we're good to go. And you can tell actually, because I accidentally picked it up by the driver, that's actually pretty sturdy, but I would not pick it up like that. There we go. Pretty cool. Okay, so let's talk about the features of the light. The light uses Samsung 301B diodes, which are covered in a waterproof material so that it makes the diodes resistant to grow room conditions. The diodes are a combination of 660 to 665 nanometer, 3200 to 4200K, 4800 to 5000K, as well as infrared and UV diodes spread across passively cooled bar heat sinks. The diodes are spaced in such a way that in the center of the bar there are fewer diodes than on the extremities, which house a greater concentration of diodes which spread the light evenly across the canopy. One downside to this is that the heat may well be concentrated on the ends of these bars. So we'll actually have a look at the heat produced across the bar when we do our heat test. The coverage for this light is advertised as a 3x3 flower area for non-commercial users and a 2x2 flower area for commercial users. I'll be testing it at 3x3 because most of the people watching this are personal growers, and it fits my test tent perfectly. The LED diodes on this light are run by a mean well driver, a 300 watt from the wall mean well driver, and it is a full spectrum grow light. This grow light actually includes diodes that a lot of grow lights don't include, which is that UV bandwidth, 380 to 410 nanometers. As I said earlier, the driver is able to be run away from the light itself, and you are given a reasonably long cable to be able to do this. Now, that is a big bonus in small grow room environments where this driver will be a major heat source and can cause your room to heat up not insignificantly. On the driver, we also have a dimmable toggle and an on-off switch. The light is also daisy chainable if you wanted to set up an array of these lights and dim them all at once. So the claimed efficacy for this grow light is 2.75 micromoles per joule. Let's set this up in a grow room environment and test the output of this light. Okay, so there is another thing that I haven't mentioned. The light comes with these wire ropes so that you only have 2 hang points that you need to hang this light from. And we can just raise the light like so. The efficacy for this light doesn't actually give a hanging height for the tested efficacy. So there's 2 power maps on the website and they show it at 8 and 10. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick reading. I think 8 is going to be way too close. I mean, that's 700. That's at the top end of 700, so it's at 19 inches. Let's get it down to, I reckon 10. If that's what they're measuring at, let's do that. Even 10, I reckon, is a little bit close. I think it's gonna be a really nice uniform palm map. I'm going to put some tape onto the driver and the LED bars. And after I've done the PAR test, we can have a look at how hot the light gets. I think it'll be a lot cooler in the center of the bars than the outsides, but perhaps the heat will dissipate across the bar and we won't have a problem at all. I'm just not sure yet. And in the center there, I've got a ppf of 1011. All right, I'm gonna take some measurements. Okay, so the light's been running for the entire test. The watt draw is 279 essentially. So not quite 300, but that's probably running the driver more efficiently anyway. The driver's actually not hot at all. So I don't think you should be worried about having this in a grow room. Although these bars they're very hot. So let's have a look at the temperature. In the middle, on the outside bar, we've got 120 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 49.2 degrees Celsius. So that should be the coolest part of the bar. Although I think it'll just be uniform, but let's have a look. On the outside, where the diodes are concentrated, we've got a maximum temperature, 51 degrees Celsius and 124 degrees Fahrenheit. I don't think you can see that, but anyway. On the inside bar, we've got a maximum temperature of 52 degrees Celsius, and that is 125 degrees Fahrenheit. And on the driver itself, we're only looking at 38.9 degrees Celsius or 102 degrees Fahrenheit. So I can keep my hand on that, no problem. But on the bars, no, I won't be able to keep my hand on that. So that means that the bars are doing a really good job of translating the heat from the diodes to the aluminium heat sink through whatever thermal paste they're using. So that means that the diodes are actually pushing that heat into the aluminium bar and not overheating themselves. So if I lift it up, this is not going to be accurate at all. Our diode temperature is 64.9 degrees Celsius and 148.8 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so I've just finished inputting the numbers into our spreadsheet and it's a really good result. So across the board, we've got a really nice even distribution of PAR. This I put down to the way that the diodes are spaced across the bar, lights, LED, PCB, and how it's designed so that the external of the bars has a greater concentration of LEDs and the internals have obviously less. And it gives that nice even distribution of PAR across. Now my test area is actually 1 by 1, so that's 3.3 foot by 3.3 foot. And I think this reflects most people's test area. And the distribution across that test area is really good. So the average for that distribution was 732. We times that by 1, which is 1 meter squared, and divide that by the watt draw, which was 279. Now, the 279 falls short of the 300 that's advertised, but I feel like they're running the driver low so that they push up the efficacy of the light overall. And this really shines through when we divide the average 732 by the watt draw, and we get an efficacy of 2.62 micromoles per joule. Now that's actually the highest efficacy that I've ever tested on this channel, and that is really impressive. This was taken at 10 inches. I would probably recommend between 10 and 12, and you'll get those PAR readings down a little bit. They are a little bit high in some areas, and I'd recommend that you get them down to about between 700 and 1000. Overall, the light performed really, really well. I love the design. I love the way that it spreads the PAR evenly across the entire PAR map. I really like the way that you can customize the bar position. We did have that hiccup at the start where one of the bars was a little bit shorter, but because of the way the light's designed, it was an easy fix and it really wasn't that much of an inconvenience. I think this light would be perfect for a heap of home growers, and it would be ideal for most people with a grow tent, as the scale of the light is perfect for most grow tent sizes. Links in the description to where you can purchase. I'll be doing a video in the very near future where we'll be doing a full grow with this light, and I'll be setting up my new flood and drain fittings, my 3D printable flood and drain fittings in a grow tent, and you'll get to see the performance of the light over the top of a flood and drain hydroponic system of my creating. That video will be right here once it's available, and you'll be able to jump over and see how the light performs. Okay, well, thank you for joining me today on Hoochos. Happy hydroponicking, and I'll see you next time.